Hey, welcome to World Entertainment, and as you know, Spawn, this reboot that Todd McFarlane has been planning to do for God knows how many years at this stage. Every now and again he comes up with stories to say, oh, it's definitely happening, blah blah blah. The last we heard was he was threatening to pull the plug because he gave it to Blumhouse to work on. He hadn't heard anything, he hadn't seen scripts or anything, and he was saying if it's not done by the end of the year or something, he was going to pull the plug. Well, he's now given an update on that regarding the script, and he's given the official title for the movie. Now, does this mean this movie is actually going to happen? You know, I'm still pressing X to doubt on that. It's just, there's so much going with this movie, or going against this movie, I should say. Todd McFarlane is the main holdup. There's no shadow of a doubt about that, because one of his stipulations is that he wants to direct it, but every studio that he handed it to said no. And we haven't heard anything from Blumhouse in regard of them going to allow him to direct it. I think they'd be stupid to let him direct it. But let's have a look at what this article says about this, because the interesting thing about what we know about the movie from what Todd McFarlane was saying about the story and stuff doesn't really add up to the title and what the title may mean for the movie. So it's saying that Spawn creator Todd McFarlane has now taken to social media to announce that the script for the long-awaited reboot is finally complete. The project has also been given the official title of King Spawn. So that's interesting. So it's saying, does this mean the story will be at least partially based on the King Spawn comic run? And this is what the outline for King Spawn, the comic run, was. And it read, King Spawn further expands the Spawn universe with a growing presence of hell, heaven, and heroes here on Earth. A classic villain from Spawn's past has begun asserting his powers on Earth by corrupting as many souls as possible, and only Spawn knows that he even exists. So you can see as well, here is what McFarlane tweeted out with this Spawn, at least the first draft of the script. Let's make that clear. This is the first draft that was probably going to be dropped in that they could change. You know, he could kick up a fuss. Oh no, it's not what I envisioned. It's interesting you see as well that it's not by Todd McFarlane. It's by Matt Mixon, Malcolm Spellman, and Scott Silver, based on the characters created by Todd McFarlane. So he really lost control for it. Now, did they stick with his story? And this is where we're going with the name, and if the outline for the comic run is anything to go by, doesn't add up at all to what McFarlane said the story was going to be. Because as we know, if you've been keeping track of this thing, it's been known for so long that McFarlane has said and stated that basically it's going to be a Spawn movie that doesn't actually feature Spawn. That Spawn is basically going to be the wind. He's going to be a ghost in the dark, essentially. At one point, a leaked script from a good long while ago that he did write had Spawn as a bed. Yeah, not even messing about that. There was a scene where the character's in a room and there's a bed in the room, and you as the viewer don't realize, but the bed was in fact Spawn. Yeah, work that one out. And it's also saying, as far as we know, Jamie Foxx is still attached to play the lead role of Al Simmons, aka the demonic anti-hero known as Spawn, but things may have changed in that regard. So it's saying McFarlane was considering stepping behind the camera at one point, but seems to have had a change of heart, acknowledging that he may not be the right person to direct, particularly now that some of the highest profile writers in the comic book movie spaces are involved. So you're seeing there, that is not I've had a change of heart. That sounds very much like the studio, in this case Blumhouse, flat out said, if you really want us to invest money in this thing and actually make it for you, you are not directing it. And he's obviously bowed to that pressure and went, okay then, I won't. Because it made no sense for him to direct. He's never directed a movie. I think he's directed a couple of music videos, I think I heard that he'd done a while ago. But he's never done a movie or anything. And to expect a studio to hand you a few $1 million to make a movie for your very first movie, yeah, why would you take that risk? Especially when people were hearing that, oh, wait, he wants to make a Spawn movie without Spawn, because he kept referring to it as, oh, it was going to be the Jaws version of Spawn. You know the shark is there, but you never see him, and that's what he was trying to push this as. And everyone was just like, what are you talking about? Why would you make a Spawn movie without the character of Spawn in there? Which meant, how was Jamie Foxx actually going to be in there? And it sounded like he was literally just going to be the character of Al Simmons and probably show up here and there. You know, maybe flashbacks or at the beginning of the movie. But once he becomes the actual character of Spawn, you were never to see him. Like, he never shows up in the movie. That probably has changed, at least slightly. If it hasn't, and this is the thing, if it hasn't, then the title of King Spawn makes no sense whatsoever. But if it goes on the outline of the comic run, obviously it would make sense. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see if this thing actually films. Like, if they actually move forward with it. Or is it just going to get to, here's the script, and then McFarlane goes, oh, I don't like this, and change that, and they just end up getting a pain in their ass with it. Just go, you know what, we're done. It's going to be strange. But it's the closest I think he's come to actually getting this project done. So we'll wait and see what happens. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So cheers, and I shall catch you in the next one.